How do I motivate myself to work out when I don't feel like it? Relying on motivation in any capacity is ineffective. Welcome to the show where we help you make smart nutrition simple. If you want proven nutrition strategies to help you build a better body and create the energy to show up for your family without overly restrictive and unrealistic dieting, then you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and enjoy this episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show. I'm your host, as always, Ben Brown, owner and head coach here at Body Systems. And in these Q&A episodes like today's, I'm answering some of your most pressing questions about nutrition, fitness, and certainly fat loss. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the best type of activity for fat loss. We're going to talk about how much exercise you should really be doing, whether the time between your sets, your rest periods, actually makes a difference. And perhaps the most relatable of all is, how do you find the motivation to work out when you just don't feel like it? I'll be giving you guys practical, no-nonsense advice, as always, to try and help you push past plateaus and stay on track with your fitness goals, even when life gets chaotic, which it is for all of us. So if you've been struggling with these questions and you perhaps have found yourself stuck in a bit of a fitness rut, then this episode is for you. I hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's jump right in. What's the best type of activity for weight loss and or for fat loss? At the end of the day, the best type of activity that you can be doing for fat loss is the one that you enjoy doing. We could make science-based claims and evidence-based claims and anecdotal-based claims all we want to say that cardio is good, cardio is bad, weightlifting is better, circuit training is better, boot camp classes is better. But at the end of the day, all that really matters is doing the activities that you enjoy doing. To the extent that you're being physically active, you're expending calories, you're supporting lean muscle tissue, you're challenging your cardiovascular system, and again, that you're enjoying the process. So, in my opinion, there's not really a best exercise or best activity for fat loss, despite the fact that we could make certain claims based on science. We're in the business of getting people long-term realistic results. And if I tell someone to do a certain exercise or a certain amount of cardiovascular exercise simply because that's what the research says, and yet it's something that doesn't fit within their lifestyle or their commitment levels, then it's something that they're not going to adhere to, and therefore they're not going to be successful. And so we always want to start people with levels of physical activity that are realistic for them, that they enjoy, that then can evolve into the types and ways of exercising and amounts of exercise that will really equate to long-term fat loss. How much exercise do we need to do to lose body fat long-term? At the end of the day, it's my opinion that we need to be exercising a lot more than what we're currently doing. As humans, we're meant to move continuously. That's how our bodies evolved, to the extent that none of us are moving enough. Now, there are general guidelines, like the American College of Sports Medicine recommends 150 minutes of moderate physical activity accumulated throughout the week. So think 5 days a week times 30 minutes of moderate physical activity. That can be out walking, that can be jogging, that can be weight training, and they say, or 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity. That can be more like jogging, more intense weight training, cycling, those types of activities. And so generally some combination of those at a bare minimum is what's recommended. And we see benefits far above and beyond that, to the extent that the clients that have made structured movement part of their lifestyle are the ones that are most successful long term, the ones that enjoy walking for 30 to 60 plus minutes per day, that hike on the weekends, that enjoy bike riding, that are active around the house and in the garden, that go to the gym multiple times per day and enjoy strength training, and or do other activities like spinning or yoga or dance classes or really anything else that helps you accumulate more physical activity. Does time in between sets matter? Yes and no. Time in between sets matters to the extent that it really depends on who it is that we're talking about, the level of training intensity, the level of training volume, their training age, and how much time they've spent proverbially under the bar. At the end of the day, for us to continually make strength gains, absolutely the amount of time that we're resting in between sets matters to allow enough time for our muscles and the motor units of the muscles to recover and be recruited to the extent that we're able to facilitate that same level of training intensity set after set after set in order to get the stimulus and ultimately the adaptation that we're looking for. And so this becomes much more important when we talk about strength training and when we talk about long-term adaptation, which requires what's called progressive overload, is obviously, as the name implies, progressively adding stimulus to the working muscles from one session to the next. And so if we think about it that way, one, in order to do that, we certainly need enough rest in order to allow the muscles to recover. But also, what's more important, in my opinion, than the exact time that we're resting is more about the mindset around the value of strength training and not leveraging it as just quote unquote calorie expenditure, right? So much so that a lot of times in the early stages of programming for clients, we'll have 60 or 90 or 120 seconds rest. And oftentimes they bypass the rest periods because the perception of exercise is that the more that we do, the more we're breathing heavy, the more that we're sweating, and the more huffy puffy we can get, the better the exercise is. The more exhausted that we are at the end of a session, the better the workout was. And that's not actually how the body adapts, to the degree that when we can shift that mindset to be focused a lot more on the quality of the reps, the volume of exercise, from one session to the next, and how we're progressively increasing either the amount of weight for the same number of reps, the amount of reps for the same amount of weight, or usually some combination of those two in conjunction with potentially even slowly and progressively reducing the rest periods as another variable that we can manipulate in order to drive physiological outcomes. And so definitely from a strength training standpoint, the rest periods matter if we're actually going to get stronger, but they certainly matter, in my opinion, a lot more in terms of what is the actual physiological response that we're trying to create from strength training. And it's not about doing more, getting huffy puffy, having a exhaustive workout, but instead creating the stimulus that we're looking for to cause the muscles to adapt. How do I motivate myself to work out when I don't feel like it? Relying on motivation in any capacity is ineffective. And the best way to get yourself to do something, and the best way to use motivation, is to not rely on motivation, but rather to just go and do it because it's something that you're committed to. And so it's my experience that if we're training the right way, if we're pushing ourselves in the gym, then you're going to dread certain training sessions. There's lower body training sessions that I would be willing to bet that most people dread doing because of how challenging they are. Just because you don't want to go do it doesn't mean that you should. I'm sure many of you don't want to go to work every single day, but you do. Why? because it's something that you're committed to. It's something that you rely on for a paycheck. Obviously, that's important for your family, for your livelihood. The same holds true for all of the other things in our life that we're committed to, right? That we know are important for us for all of the various reasons, which is why you leverage discipline, you leverage accountability, and you leverage the fact that you know that it's something that you're going to benefit from, despite the fact that in the moment, you don't feel like doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, if we didn't do all of the things that we didn't feel like doing in the moment, well, frankly, we'd probably be like most Americans. And we'd be sedentary, we'd be overweight, we'd be consuming more highly processed, highly refined foods, and everything should be easy. But obviously, if we want to have a great body composition, if we want to make a lot of money, if we want to be successful in whatever that means for you, if we want to have great relationships, then we have to lean into challenges, challenging workouts, challenging conversations, changing our mindset around what success actually looks like for us, and really rooting into those daily behaviors that feel uncomfortable and actually getting excited to root into that discomfort. Well, there you have it. That's it for this episode of the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show. If you have questions that you'd like us to tackle in an upcoming episode, then we can't wait to hear from you. So you can submit your questions directly by just messaging us on our social media. That's at Body Systems Coaching. Or you can just message me personally, ben@bodysystems.com. Appreciate you guys listening, and I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you in your nutrition journey for free. 1. Grab a free copy of my Fat Loss Fix Guide at fatlossfixguide.com. 2. Join my free group at smartnutritionmadesimple.com. 3. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at smartnutritionmadesimple.tv.com. 4. Leave a 5-star rating and positive review so that we can gain access to more nutrition experts ready to share their knowledge with you and ultimately help more people make smart nutrition simple.